Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Emma. Thank you for having me.
Now, let me start with the first question. I think I have to ask you, your recent appearance on the BBC has garnered international attention for your very strong stance on climate change. Can you elaborate a little bit on how Guyana's efforts to combat climate change not only benefits Guyana, but the entire world?
Well, as you know, Guyana is part of the Amazon basin. We are part of also the Guyana Shield. The Guyana Shield is perhaps the oldest geological landscape in the world. It is the oldest geological space in the world. Being part of the Amazon basin is being part of a basin that contributes 20% of the oxygen of the world. The Amazon basin is known as the lungs of the world. And in the Amazon basin, Guyana is perhaps the leading country in forest management, environmental management, and a leading example in how we're securing the forests within that basin, thereby keeping the lungs of the world alive. You know, when we look at the carbon the forests of Guyana stores, 19.5 gigatons of carbon, but also the carbon, the carbon dioxide that the forest captures. Mm-hmm. So outside of the storage, we have carbon capture. And then you look at the richness of the biodiversity in a world in the last 50 years where we have lost more than 60% of our biodiversity, ecological services, then you understand in totality the value of Guyana's forests to the world, a forest that is the size of England and Scotland combined, and more importantly, a forest that has been more or less untouched, lowest deforestation rate in the world, and a forest that has been certified at jurisdictional scale that we are deploying as part of our contribution globally in the fight of climate change. But of course, as I said earlier, the developed world need to understand that the developing world who are asked to make these very important decisions to secure life and life as we know it on Earth must also have the evaluation system for what they're asked to do. If it is that the world recognizes that the Amazon basin is the lungs of the world, then there must be a value that we place to the lungs of the world. There must be a way in which we invest in the lungs of the world so that we can secure the lungs of the world, so that we can ensure the lungs of the world is kept in good condition.
And I wanted to ask you that, building on that point, Dr. Ali, because Guyana has been commended for its REDD, reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. How are you going to leverage on these programs to secure funding for sustainable land management and funding for your country?
Well, that is why Guyana is, we are very humbled to be in the lead position on forests. The type of policy and type of framework that we have built for the management of our forests and also for the deployment of forests as an important tool on climate change has captured global attention. And perhaps as I speak to you now, we are one of the leading forces in sustainable forestry management, but more importantly, on developing the model through which forests will be an important part of the future in terms of climate change. Now, we have also developed a development model around the forest that is called the Low Carbon Development Strategy. Now, that strategy is not a climate strategy alone. It is a climate environmental strategy that builds in sustainable development, that builds in the development goals and aspirations of the country, so that it speaks about livelihood enhancement, prosperity for the people. So we are one of the first models in the world in which we have been able to market the carbon in the forest, which is certified. The entire forest is certified. And we have, of course, a monitoring and verification system, one of the strongest audit systems globally. As a result of that, we have been able to get the first end-user agreement with Hess Corporation, more than $750 million US dollars. And that is a large chunk of that is from legacy credit. So And one of the things that we have done in the model is to create a system where 15% of all the revenue earned in this model, 15% of all the revenue earned on the carbon sale goes directly to the indigenous communities. And they have the ability now to utilize that those resources to fund their community development plan, their economic development plan. And we have seen tremendous transformation, billions of dollars transferred directly to these indigenous community, the Amerindian communities. They have more than 800 projects on the implementation. So for us, the management of the forest is not only about climate change and the environment. It is deploying this great national asset, this natural asset on the market to earn revenue, to build out an economy that would lead to sustainable development. In that economy, of course, issues of ensuring that we have good policies and programs to avoid land degradation, to protect the forests whilst ensuring livelihood, sustainable agriculture, food production. These things are important aspects of the whole ecosystem surrounding the forest.
I know I'll dive deeper into those topics, but I want to say Guyana's commitment to carbon neutral or for carbon neutrality by 2040 is pretty ambitious for a country that also is on a high gear in terms of its boosting in the energy sector. Do you foresee challenges, and how are you going to address those challenges?
Actually, Hema is not ambitious at all. We have already achieved that. We are positive.
Okay.
We are on the positive side of things, and even with 10 FPSOs operating, if you look at the carbon storage and carbon capture, we will be still contributing in a major way to reducing global emission, whilst at the same time we would be still neutral, negative in terms of our carbon footprint. So because of the magnitude of what the forest has, when you look at the net off, we will be far, 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 far ahead of the game.
I want to ask you, President Ali, many years ago, I had the opportunity to be probably one of the first journalists in this country to interview you when you were heading into the elections. We are going into the second half of 2024, and in 2025, you will once again be facing the polls. So I do have to ask you about the upcoming elections are crucial for Guyana. What key policies and initiatives will your government prioritize going into this election, what would I consider election year?
You're asking me to give you insight into the manifesto, but let me say this to you. We have crafted a plan and a strategy for Guyana 2030 and beyond. A lot of what we are doing now, the fruits of the labor, will come long after, well, not long after, just about when my 2 terms would be over once the people so decide in 2025. So what I would say is that you will see a continuation of policies that would lead to sustainable development, policies that are aimed and directed towards building the prosperity of every family. You will see Guyana taking a lead role, if not the lead role, on the issue of climate security, energy security, and food security. But more importantly, you'll see a deep push towards the integration of South America and the Guyana Shield. We are working with President Lula. So you would see great interconnectivity with the transport system. You will see an energy corridor develop. You would see a world-class education system, a world-class healthcare system. You will see an energy system that has all the components of a modern system, land with wind, solar, natural gas, but one that is reliable, one that is efficient, one in which the energy costs of the country will be cut by half. You will see the building out of massive industrialization and manufacturing. You will see tremendous investment in ICT, putting the country in the forefront of building a technologically driven economy. You will see the governance system moving to efficiency, greater efficiency through digitization, more predictability in the system. We are migrating all the manual process into digital process so that you have less human biases in the system itself, and the system must work in an efficient and reliable way. We're going to invest heavily, continue to invest heavily in security, ensuring that everything that we are building is built in a secure environment, in an environment in which the citizens of the country enjoy the highest level of security. We're going to invest heavily in agriculture to ensure that we are playing an important role in the region in food security. We're building sustainable agriculture, use of technology. We'll be investing heavily in research and development, enhancing our human resource capacity. We want to have one of the highest skilled human resource based assets in the world, so we're investing heavily in education. Under the Gold Scholarship Program in the last 3.5 years, we have almost 30,000 Guyanese studying in that program, of which 75% are women. We are working towards implementing economic opportunity and an initiative that would improve and expand disposable income at the household level, so that more persons, more of the labor force in the household level can be deployed, so that disposable income at the household level can increase and be enhanced. And when that happens, you grow individual wealth, you grow family wealth, you grow community wealth. And once you grow community wealth, you'll grow national wealth. We don't want wealth to be in economic parameters alone. We want wealth to be enjoyed by the citizens of the country through a good standard of living, through and we want our elderly persons to retire in dignity, to have access to a good healthcare system. So you will see a lot of policies and programs that will continue along this trajectory, building the private sector, expanding opportunities for the private sector, making them more competitive, moving the private sector into research and development so that we can be ahead of time. Listen, we are now investing to cut the time lag in catching up with the rest of the world. We want to ensure that from a technological standpoint, from a healthcare standpoint, from an education standpoint, from a human resource standpoint, from a security standpoint, from an economy, sustainable economy standpoint, that we are right there ahead of the curve with the front runners. Ensuring also that we don't build a budget that where the current expenditure is running ahead of us and that cannot be sustained. Those are the important things. Investing in things that increases productivity, increases the country's competitiveness, and enhance our economic prospects.
I know we have a number of issues to dive in this morning, President Ali. The border dispute with Venezuela, that seems to also have been rearing its head again recently, and that to many remains unresolved. And you talk about the prosperity in Guyana. I mean, I've read comparisons calling it the little Dubai of the Caribbean region. I'm sure you have read similar. But that seems to be a looming situation. What approaches your administration plan to take on addressing this long-standing territorial dispute? I know CARICOM made a statement. You also held discussions. There were meetings. What is the next step on this?
Well, first of all, I just want to use one of those rare occasions in correcting you. This is not a dispute at all. Venezuela has raised a controversy. We are very clear as to where our borders are. There's no doubt that the 1899 arbitral award settled our border. However, our neighbors would have raised some controversy, and that is being addressed at the rightful place in keeping with international law, in adhering to the rule of law. We are a rule-based society, and this matter is before the ICJ. We have encouraged Venezuela to participate fully in that ICJ process, and to respect the outcome of the ICJ process. Today, Venezuela should be submitting their counter memorial. So we hope that they do so and continue to participate in the process, and then respect the outcome of the process as Guyana will. Listen, Guyana's only ambition and intention is to promote peace, ensure that our region remains a region of peace and stability. Our concern is to ensure also that whatever we build, that is why I spoke to you about the energy corridor, transport corridor, bridging South America, bridging the Guyana Shield, integrating the country so that we can build integrated economies, integrated systems. So we want a region that is stable, a region that is secure, a region in which the people of our countries, different countries, can enjoy peace and stability. We have no other ambition. We have no intention of taking what is not ours, and we hope that our neighbors understand that that this is the framework through which we are operating. But having said that, we are monitoring every statement, every situation. We are very fortunate that we have good global citizens and friends who are all making statements. We are very thankful for all those who have been making statements in relation to this issue, ensuring that good sense prevail, and ensuring that our neighbors act within the confines of international law. We are very committed to the Argyll Declaration in St. Vincent because by nature we are a country of peace. We are a country wanting the success of the whole region. Our prosperity must lead to the region's prosperity.
President, I want to return to that BBC interview and the issue of inclusivity and also social justice, racial diversity and racial harmony was also raised on another clip making viral. Your government has been very vocal on social justice and inclusivity. How do you plan to address issues of inequality and perceived discrimination?
Well, you can't address perceived discrimination. You have to address what is reality. You have to address the facts. And if any journalists who are worth their salt or who are honest and want to base their journalism on the facts, then they can just look at the reality in Guyana. Look, the government controls government institutions. And I dare any journalist, I dare anyone to look at all the institutions of state and tell me where discrimination lies. Look at the look at the our housing program. Tell me where discrimination lies. So I'm on set today. Let me see if I come. Let my three guys who are on set with me come. You guys come. All three of you. So I like to base my analysis on facts. These are guys who spend most of the days with me. Look at their faces. These are the faces of Guyana. These are the faces of Guyana, smiling, happy faces, young people ready to move this country forward. So I don't waste my time on old propaganda that is aimed at selfishly accomplishing things that give you some political advantage or some political narrative. That is nonsense. That is a historical misstep that has no place in the future. This country is going to move forward as one Guyana with all the people integrated as one. We're going to set the agenda as to what unity looks like. We're going to live unity. We're going to ensure that unity is incorporated into economic expansion and policy making. That is why when you look at our programs, when we announce increases, in the last 3 years, more than 75% increases in old age pension. They go to every single old age pensioner. When we announce a special program for people with dialysis, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce a school children grant, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce a woman empowerment program, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce a program to give a voucher for every single woman in Guyana to go and have their medical checkup for cervical cancer, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce 15% of all revenue earned on carbon sale, it goes to every Amerindian community. So you see, these arguments, and we have to understand the historical context of these arguments. These arguments were designed to take control, to manipulate. Historically, the division of our society in the 50s was because of outside forces who wanted to maintain control and manipulate the system. They invented this division, and they invested in this division to suit what they wanted. They wanted a divided society so that they would have maintained control. They would have ensured that they have influence on the system. Unfortunately, they don't care about social justice. They didn't care about social justice. They didn't care about equity. They didn't care about unity. What they cared about was what mattered to them. What mattered to them at that time was to find a way in which they will maintain control. Unfortunately, some of the leaders at that time fell for the trap. And there was one political party in 1950, the People's Progressive Party. And if you go through the history to see how the party was split and who engineered the splitting of the party, you'll understand the influence of external forces. So when some of these people talk to me about
a divided Guyana
and these things, they forget fundamentally that they were the architect of destroying what unity should be and what unity is. And and what's the result of that? The result of that was 28 years of dictatorship. Anything built on illegality or anything built on a system that seeks to inject injustice cannot last. So for 28 years, the country suffered through a dictatorship, suffered through rigged election. From one of the most powerful countries in the early 60s, we went down to one of the least developed countries in the region. So, when we speak about these matters, we have to understand the historical context, and then we have to speak from a position of facts and truth. If you go to every single area that government has some control or some influence, you will see Guyana is reflected. So this narrative has no place in the society we are building, in the modern society. It's a narrative that is selfish in nature. It's a narrative that is used to achieve personal agenda and to achieve some political advantage that will be non-existent because I'm going to destroy it. This government is going to destroy any narrative that seeks to use race, ethnicity, and division as foundational or fundamental pillars to drive their messaging. It will be destroyed.
President, I want to ask you, with great economic prosperity, there is a boom that is taking place in Guyana. Your country has been recognized for the economic development because of the oil discoveries, but also for proper management systems that are in place. But with increased wealth and with the rate that wealth is coming to Guyana, there is a possibility of flaws in your systems being exposed. What measures is your government putting in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Depends on what flaws you're talking about. I think that in life, if there is someone who would put their hands up and say, I have a perfect life, I think something is definitely wrong with that person. What is interesting is that when a company grows, in this region too, when a company grows, you will never hear these questions. Oh man, the balance sheet at the end of the year, look at profitability, our profit increased by 500%. And you don't hear these questions. My thing is that where is the level of accountability and the same level of scrutiny that goes in the private sector and the public sector? Good governance and governance mechanism is for all of society. Whenever a country is doing well, especially a developing country, there's always this thing, oh, your system is porous. Oh, there's going to be corruption. Oh, there are going to be leakages. When you hear in the developed world, the country is growing by 8 or 9%, some of our own journalists in the region use that as the example. Oh, but look at what is happening in North America. Oh, look at what is happening. The economy is growing there. You don't ask. You don't ask what happens in the system. So we come from this perceived notion that in the developing world, in our region, we cannot handle development, we cannot handle wealth. Our system is inherently geared towards, exposure. But let me say, we have to change that narrative. We have to, and that is why you're looking at our legislative system that is changing rapidly to cater for this type of development that's coming. I spoke to you earlier about moving towards digitization, more predictability in the system, removing the human bias, increasing governance efficiency, increasing government reliability, removing that human contact that can bring with it all kinds of liability. So we are now moving to a single window construction permitting system. We are moving towards having digital health records, having a patient management information system, moving to move all our immigration services, all our customs services, all online to ensure that there is greater transparency. And then if you look at our oil and gas sector, we have passed some of the most progressive legislation. If our Minister of Finance don't declare the revenue that comes in within a month, mandatory, he can get 10 years sentence.
Right.
10-year sentence. We have the steering committee and the Natural Resource Fund Management Board, all separate arm's length relationship from the government. No politician is involved in that. The government is not involved in that. An independent body that is separate and apart from the government. These are things that we should write about. These are things that journalists in the region should celebrate and write about. But sometimes, you know, we get bogged down in a trap that was historically created for us. And if you look at the leaders in the developing world, we always have to come from a position where we have to fight off this narrative before we even get into our policy-making matrix. Those in the developed world, they're never asked about this. They're never asked about this. But that is a system. That is a system that is unfair. That is a system that lacks justice. And that is a system that our journalists need to get out of.
Now, President, let me ask you this question on, I wanted you to switch your hats at this time. Haiti, I know the U.S. State Department, they have given their citizens a timeline to evacuate and to leave the country. The situation seems to be worsening. I know that you have been very vocal in your capacity as head of CARICOM on this. What is the latest on Haiti, and how is CARICOM going to address this seemingly worsening crisis?
So the region has been very active on this. The region has been very forward on this. We have made it very clear that the solution must be Haitian-led and Haitian-owned. Everything that we have done so far is to encourage Haiti to own the solution, Haiti to lead the solution, and we're working aggressively with Haiti on this, all its stakeholders. The leaders in this region have spent countless days, not hours, days on Haiti in the last 8 weeks. In the last 8 weeks, we have spent tremendous time on Haiti because we want Haiti to be successful. But let's go back to the narrative. You started by asking Hema about the U.S. announcing that they're pulling, yes, giving 2 days to their citizens. I would have liked for you to start by asking me, have the different countries, including the U.S., fulfill their commitment of funding the actions that are critically needed in Haiti? The MSS has to be funded. The security forces going in there has to be funded. The rebuilding of Haiti has to be funded. So why are we allowing the narrative to be designed for us in the region? We have to ask a tough question. Yes, CARICOM is doing all that we can do. We have limitation by scale, limitation by size, limitation by resources. We are very grateful and thankful for the international community joining us. The U.S. has, and all the other stakeholders has been joining us, working on finding a solution. But we know that the challenge ahead of us would be resourcing the intervention, getting the resources that is necessary to finance the intervention. And we don't want this to be a hurdle too. So whilst, yes, we all have a responsibility to our citizens, we also have a responsibility to addressing the wider issues that are connected with Haiti. So this has to be a holistic approach, and it's not a CARICOM-owned approach. Mm-hmm. This is a Haitian-owned and a Haitian-led approach with all stakeholders. The international community, Jamaica has been making tremendous investment. They have been training the security personnel. And, you know, when you look at Bahamas, Prime Minister Holness, Prime Minister Davis, Prime Minister Motley, Prime Minister Skerritt, Prime Minister Rowley, all the prime ministers around the region, we have all been working to ensure that this Haitian-led solution, Haitian-owned solution, does not end at a presidential council, does not end at the appointment of a new prime minister. That is when the support system must kick in. That is when the resources to ensure that the support system work will be critically needed. And we don't want to be at a point when we get there that we don't have the mechanism to support what is being built.
President Ali, I know we're running out of time, but I do want to highlight the Caribbean Global Leader 2024 is President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali of Guyana. So congratulations on that recognition. You have been recognized, and I know that the Council made the announcement recently. All of your strong positions, and I think your risks seem to be paying off. How do you feel this morning, seeing that you have been recognized and you're now named as the Caribbean Global Leader for 2024? Beating out your Caribbean counterparts, I think.
Well, no. When you speak about the CARICOM, I'm just humbled to be part of the CARICOM team. The leadership that exists within this region, I'm humbled to be a small part of the leadership that exists within this region. I think this is not an Irfaan Ali accomplishment. This is a regional accomplishment for all of us. Listen, I believe that in this region, we have a collection of leaders now who can really make a difference. We have leaders who are making international waves and have the opportunity of creating a lot of historical context for this region. We have leaders who are seizing the moment, driving change, driving innovation, leading on the issues of climate change, finding innovative solutions. So I'm very humbled to be part of the leadership of this region. I'm very humbled to be part of this team within the region, to be chairman of CARICOM at this important point in the history of the region and having the support mechanism of the people of this region. And the people of this region are innovative, they're brilliant. The people of this region has the capacity and capability to lead this region into cutting-edge technology. What we have lacked is the type of investment that would allow the innovative ideals and ideas of our people to manifest itself. You know, if you look at the budgetary allocation in the private sector for research and development to encourage innovation, it is sad. It is sad. And that is why we are setting ourselves at national level and regional level new targets to drive this. So any accomplishment that I ever achieve in life is not as a result of me, as a result of people who surround me. It's a result of the teamwork that exists both in my country and in the region, and I'm just humbled to be part of this team.
I know I want to end. I know you are an avid cricket fan, and we're approaching the T20 World Cup coming to the region. Let me ask about Guyana's preparations, and then also let me ask, what are you looking forward to most in this World Cup that's coming to the region?
Well, our preparations are coming on stream. I would like to see, we have raised it to the CARICOM level, that our economies are still more or less cash-based, and people still look forward, well, not look forward, people still buy their tickets at a ticketing counter, and we want ICC and the West Indies, Cricket West Indies, to fix this very quickly so that our people can be actively involved. What I'm looking forward to is what I'm sure will happen. I have great confidence in our boys, and they're going to win this World Cup at home. I don't think there is any team that is capable on paper like the West Indies team, both male and female. And I believe that our boys and girls will do us proud at home. And I want the West Indian cricket fan to rally behind our boys and girls. They are incredibly talented. They need our support. And I'm very, very confident in them. I'm very confident in them. I'm very confident that the lessons of not being part of the one-day World Cup, last year was a sad one for all of us. They have learned a lot about that, from that, and they're ready now to take on the world, destroy the critics, and put West Indies cricket back on top.
Your closing comments to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Ali. There is a lot of investment that's flowing towards Guyana. I know there's a lot of cooperation, the business chambers in particular, and the government encouraging this CARICOM unity, moving towards this regional ferry as well, which will improve transportation, business connectivity, and agricultural cooperation. What do you want to say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago this morning?
Well, I want to say to the people of the region, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, that Prime Minister Ali and I, we have been working very strongly together on building the connectivity between the country, but also building out a platform through which Trinidad and Guyana can operate in integrating a lot of what we are doing. You know, a lot of investment and private sector companies and individuals from Trinidad are investing heavily in Guyana. They're getting a lot of opportunities here. They're part of the growth and development of our country. And I think without exception, they can speak about the way in which we have integrated and the way in which we have welcomed the investment. We look forward, and we know that this is going to expand. we have to find innovative ways in which we will further integrate the different sectors to position the two economies to service the demand and increase our competitiveness beyond the region, because there is tremendous potential both for Guyana and Trinidad beyond the region. And I want to thank Trinidad and Tobago for being one of the first countries last week to come out and issue a statement. You know, your foreign minister, Dr. Emery Brung, he was right out of the block, very principled as usual on this issue. And I want to thank them also for being so early. To the people of Trinidad, listen, we all have moments of challenges. We have to work on creating a positive environment. Like Guyana, we have challenges too, but my advice is that we have to be positive in creating opportunities. We have to work hard at creating opportunities. We have to look at the future. The future is going to be very challenging for us as a region, for us as countries. When you look at the resources that would have to be spent on digitization, innovation, robotics, and all of these things are things that are going to influence the way we do business, they influence our position in the global community. And these are things that has the ability of disrupting norms. And perhaps it's a good point of reflection for us, the region, looking ahead at the type of things that are coming towards us that would disrupt the norms of operation. And we have to plan now as to how we address those disruptive technology, disruptive advances that are coming our way.
President, I want to thank you so much for joining us this early hours on the early morning show here on CNC3.
I assure you, it's not early, Hema. We have been up a long time ago. So maybe it's early for you. You still have your coffee brewing there.
I do. Well, thank you very much again.
It's a great pleasure once again to speak to you. You know, it's always good to be on your show.
Thank you.
As you rightfully pointed out, your show has not been available to me only as president. Long before I was president, I had the opportunity of being on your programs and your show, and I thank you for your continued interest in Guyana and interest in the development of our country. And I wish you well. I wish Trinidad and Tobago well, and together we're going to build a stronger region.
We will together. Thank you so much, President Ali, and have a good day. Thank you again. We'll take a very short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you. Stay with us. This is the Morning Brew. We dive deeper into the topic of the T20 World Cup, our preparations. President Ali saying he's confident that our teams can bring victory. I don't know if everyone is going to agree with that, but we can live in hope. Stay with us.